Oklahoma State Cowboys running back Chuba Hubbard is one of the most talented, dynamic running backs in all college football, if not the entire country. Frankly, he should be in the NFL right now, and he should be a stud, right? So it was really surprising that the redshirt sophomore, who was draft eligible, decided to go back to Stillwater for another year, right? So no doubt in my mind that he would have been the first running back taken, probably a first-round pick as well. And then stuff went down on Monday. Stuff really went down. So we live in such a stupid time. Anyways, photo started circulating of Oklahoma State coach Mike Gundy. Remember, Mike Gundy, he's a man. He's 40. You know, that guy. He was wearing a OAN shirt, One American News Network, a conservative news outlet. I'm not familiar with it. But, of course, social media did what they did, started freaking out, and started dragging coach, right? So that's what they do nowadays, right? Chuba then chimed in, quote, I will not stand for this. This is completely insensitive to everything going on in society, and it's unacceptable. I will not be doing anything with Oklahoma State until things change. Change in all capitals, end quote. So, wow. That escalated quickly. It did. So it went from a photo of a dude in a shirt to your star player basically boycotting the team. And a bunch of current and former Oklahoma State players also came out in support of Chuba. But then it was like really weird. It's like in like an hour, in an afternoon, they made up, right? So then Oklahoma State put out a video, and Chuba apologized and Gundy talked. They bro hugged. It was kind of awkward. It was like, okay, all right. So it was odd for a couple reasons. So it almost like it seemed like a forced apology, forced like, hey, donors, we're good, we're fine here. Hey, Team Boone Pickens alumnus, we're fine, right? But I don't feel like a star player just goes from 0 to 60 like that for no reason. So if Chuba is still mad, if he's still disgruntled, and maybe rightfully so, I mean, he should apply for the supplemental draft because I think the NFL will accept his application. So what is the supplemental draft? What are we talking about here? So it's held in early July, typically. Now, it's actually more waivers than an actual draft. And what happens is that a certain number of players, if there are eligible players that year, put their name in the supplemental draft pool. And what happens, it's priority that is set up like the April draft order. So Bengals at 1, Vikings at B25, etc. Teams interested in eligible players put in a bid. They put in a round bid. They're like, all right, so player X, we'll give a 7th round bid. We'll give a 3rd round bid. We'll give a 2nd round bid, whatever, right? And then the team with the highest round bid and the highest priority, they win. And then they sacrifice the corresponding round pick in the next draft. So say the Vikings land someone in the 2nd round of the supplemental draft, they win, and then they have to give up a 2nd round pick in 2021. That's how it works. So it started in 1977. Now, initially, it was for players who either lost college eligibility after the traditional draft and would not be playing college football in the fall. So there you go. There's been a lot of really good players come through the supplemental draft before, too. So Bernie Kosar, 85. Brian Bosworth, the Boz, famously in 87. Chris Carter also in 87 as well because he hired an agent. But yeah. Terrell Pryor in 2011 because of tattoos. And then 2012, Josh Gordon, who technically was at the University of Utah, but weed. Yeah. Now, it usually has to do something with drug suspensions or grades or whatever, but sometimes not. Like Bernie Kosar just graduated early, and it really was a bit of a sneaky move to get. It was a ploy to get to the Cleveland Browns' hometown team. Like people don't talk about that. Steve Walsh, also in 89. He declared as a way to sync up and reunite with his former University of Miami head coach, Jimmy Johnson, who's then with the Cowboys, right? And also, it's weird. So they drafted Aikman number 1 overall, and then they spent a first-round supplemental pick on Steve Walsh. It was just weird. It's convoluted, right? So now players do have to petition for the NFL, and usually it's either the player's ineligible or something this or something that. But as we just cited, sometimes it's for very frivolous reasons. Now, Chuba, if he cited this as a grievance, I think optically, with the NFL taking a firm stance on social justice now, I think frankly, it would be ludicrous for them to turn him down. I think it would be extremely bad PR. So I think if Chuba did apply, if he did want to get into the supplemental draft, I think 100% he would be in. And with Chuba, I mean, just talk about him as a player. He's a friggin' stud. 6'1", 207. He just turned 21 on June 11th. Happy belated birthday, Chuba. Last year ran for 2,094 yards and 21 touchdowns, 6.4 yards per carry. Stud. Just insane quickness, great vision, great speed. He really is a star in the making. And if he declared and was granted supplemental draft status, which I think would be a slam dunk, I think the Vikings should be all in. Because put in a second round bid, right? I mean, maybe you'll get outbid, maybe you won't, but at least you gave it the old college try. Not really into giving up a first at this stage of the game, but I would at least just try and throw a poke out there, right? Pokes, Cowboys, yeah. So I love Dalvin, but negotiations are starting to go south, and the Vikings will have a much better sense 3 weeks from now when the supplemental draft is scheduled to go down. I think Chuba would be the ultimate leverage for the Vikings. So it's like, Dalvin, we love you, but we got Chuba, we got Madison, we got Boone, deuces. And maybe at that point they do trade Dalvin Cook. And also Chuba Hubbard's from Edmonton, Alberta, and that's prime Vikings territory as well. So like Edmonton, Winnipeg, big Vikings towns. I think it'd be a great story overall, and he's a fantastic young player at a position that's very much a young player's position. All right, so it's a lot of moving parts. It seems like they've made up, but we'll see how long that lasts. And if Chuba does declare for the supplemental draft, I think he gets in. And if he gets in, I think the Vikings should put in a bid. So there you go. All right, so your thoughts, Chuba Hubbard, supplemental draft. Let us know in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. If you want to support the work, pull us up on the Venmo. Plus give us a follow on social media as well. But until next time, Skull, production value.